Hello, everyone. This is William del Pilar, and this is the Red, White, and Rude. This is where we go to war with progressive culture, entertainment, music, gaming, movies, all of it. And we are back. I am a conservative Latino, and I want you to understand something. Politics is downstream of culture. Translation: what happens culturally shapes our politics. Spoiler alert, we've been losing the culture war. We'd better start acting like David if we want any chance of taking down Goliath and saving this country for our kids. The last time we talked, we hit on Boston Blue. A cherished conservative show got twisted, turned into a color by numbers, identity politics, white guilt trash. Tonight, I drafted the fired up conservative talk panel as my guests for this episode. And we've all served or are currently serving in elected office. So we see every day how culture hits politics directly. And a lot of times that means fighting Republicans. That means fighting fundamentalists, rhinos, everyone who doesn't understand the culture wars, especially when they abandon conservative values. Tonight, we've got a hell of a show. We're going to dive into UFOs or UAPs if you want the bureaucratic spin. The government is slow walking disclosure. The media can't decide if it's a joke or a distraction. The elites act like you're crazy for even asking questions. We're going to break down what they're admitting, what they're dodging, and what it really means for normal Americans. Americans just trying to live their lives under a government that lies to them about everything else. So let's get into it with tonight's topics and bring in our guest. We have a wonderful guest tonight. Her name is Sabrina Duncan, aka the beautiful Miss Annette Ross. And I'll fill you people in a second on that. Then we're gonna bring the main man, the G man, who off camera was trying to practice up on his Hindi. Is he going to surprise us and announce an acting career back in his home country? So welcome to both of you guys. For the audience, I've been writing Miss Annette Ross or Ms. Annette Ross because she's a Miss. That she looks like Kate Jackson. I pulled the image up and proved it. Gee, how's that Hindi coming along?
I have my 800 and some odd days of Duolingo streak going, so it's going well.
And I know Hindi, as I told G. I know the English part of it. Is it Hindi the one that is that English part of Hindi?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Well,
just
I
the,
just saw, and I've got to watch it. Ranveer Singh. He's a big Indian actor. He was on Bear Grylls. We all know Bear Grylls, and he waited. He goes, "Are there any lions or tigers out there?" He goes, "No." And predictably, Ranveer says, "I'm the tiger," and they just both immediately crack up because he goes, "I've been waiting forever to use that line on you."
I think Bear Grylls pulled in 3 or 4 actors and actresses from India. So yeah, I mean he's been on a tear for that, and one of them is a former, let's say, she has raw talent. she's 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 a former adult actress, but now she's like big in Bollywood. Her name's Sunny
No
Leone.
way.
So yeah,
Which one?
Sunny Leone.
Can't say
So
I've
she
heard of
was
her. I'm checking out a Salman Khan film right now on Netflix. I started last night. But for y'all out there, you want to see over the top where you're laughing is so over the top, but you will be entertained. Watch most Indian movies. And they got some serious thrillers, serious movies too that are out there. So check those out on Netflix. All right, guys. How you doing, Sabrina?
I just want you to know that when I was young, and this is like 25 years ago, I did have a stalker, but not because he thought it. Yes, he did stalk me and would follow me around, and not because he thought I looked like Sabrina. He thought I looked like Natalie Wood. And I don't know, maybe when I was young, there was a slight faraway resemblance, but he would come up to me on a train, on a bus, and say, "Have you seen a rebel without a cause?" Very strange situation. But so no, Sabrina, this is the first time I've had Sabrina. So I guess as I'm getting old, having different lookalikes.
Well, in tracking down your pictures, I ran across some of your younger ones.
Yes.
You have a model's look about you. You're very, you're a beautiful woman. I'm not gonna say, but you're very photogenic in a model way in those some of those younger pictures. Were you ever like pageants or modeling?
No, but I did get my headshots done, and I was picked for I wanted to be an actress, actually. And when they did the Untouchable series in Chicago, I was picked for that, and that's when I did do that pilot, but then
Okay, Annette, you got to repeat that. You were going into acting. You kind of froze.
I was going into acting, and I was picked for The Untouchables. After the movie The
Wow.
Untouchables,
You
they
mean
did
with Kevin Costner?
well,
With
no,
Ke-
no, after the movie, they did a pilot to do a television series of The Untouchables in Chicago. So I was in the pilot for the show that was gonna be the series that was gonna be
oh
the TV
wow.
show after. Yes, and then I realized acting is not for me, It's a lot of work at night, you know what I mean? I was going to school. It's
You didn't want to sleep with Harvey Weinstein. I take it.
you have to give up honestly, William, you have to give up a lot of your personal life if that's what you wanna pursue and that you wanna make it, there. And I wasn't ready to do that, so I didn't make that sacrifice. So I got out of that.
So you didn't make the sacrifice that Mrs. Gavin Newsom did and sleep with Harvey Weinstein.
You know what? I had to be a prostitute in the series, and that's when I realized I probably couldn't do acting because it was really uncomfortable for me. I'm like, "This is not I can't do it. It's a no can do thing for me." So, no, that was it, beginning and the end. Untouchables.
You weren't willing to take the hit.
Yeah,
Gee, what are your thoughts? A Star is Born here.
and died.
Eh, eh, I work with Annette on a school board, no comment. I don't need her mad at me.
Gee, ouch.
No, if I say the wrong thing, that's what I mean. See, I'm already saying the wrong thing.
No.
William, you're getting me in trouble.
I have no shame, and when I get kind of, hey, I'm sorry, I'm just being real. Gee, I have a spine, but that's a
Yeah.
different podcast. All
No.
right, so let's get going. The first topic we're going to talk about UFOs, secret programs, and a culture finally taking it seriously. So, a sitting congressman came out of a classified UFO briefing just this week, just today, saying Americans should brace for what's in there, while whistleblowers and scientists say the U.S. has been running secret UFO programs for years. A former defense intelligence a former defense intelligence agency scientist. God, it's so long, the description. A former defense intelligence agency scientist is detailing a top secret UFO research program in Las Vegas that he says built the biggest UFO database the government has ever had and dealt with non-human entities. We're not talking illegal aliens crossing the border here, people. At the same time, you've got a NASA linked scientist, Michael David Hicks, on a growing list of space and nuclear experts who died or vanished under strange circumstances. And sadly, those who trailblazed the way, a pioneer named Nick Pope just passed away, and the great one, Eric von Doniken, passed away a couple months ago. So we're seeing the conversation being handed to a new generation. All of that is happening as celebrities like Casey Musgraves. Y'all know who Casey Musgraves is, don't you? I had no clue until I read the article today.
Oh,
She posted her own, she's a country singer. She posted her own UFO or videos, and it's obvious this has become mainstream. And Congress is also demanding the Pentagon release dozens of secret UFO videos to the public. So, who's the congressman that I'm talking about? Real quick guess, G. Who's the congressman I was mentioning without naming?
Without naming him, the main one I think right now is Representative Tim Burchett.
Ding, ding, we got a winner.
Yeah.
He says he had another classified UFO briefing and has spoken with the White House, warning what he's seen could keep people, quote, up at night, unquote, and insisting that more information will be released soon. So UFOs are going to keep us up at night, not Stephen Colbert's late show. I crack myself up. So the House Oversight Committee has enacted UAP. Gee, what does UAP stand for the audience?
Unidentified anomalous phenomenon.
Thank you, because I
They took the aerial part out and made it anomalous because some of these have been seen going into the ocean at very high rates and then coming right back out. So that's anomalous and not aerial anymore.
The House Oversight Committee was not fair enough, spot on. So the House Oversight Committee has an active UAP transparency investigation with members accusing the Pentagon's Odd Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO, of slow walking or downplaying serious cases. So lawmakers have demanded that the Department of War release 46 classified UFO videos, with one member reportedly saying the public is, quote, going to see some weird effing, some weird fucking shit. It's just like, that's what, once those videos are out.
Beep, beep. Because I was a little late on the beeps.
So, question. If sitting members of Congress are being told things in classified UFO briefings that would keep you up at night, and they're now demanding 46 secret videos be released, is this still a fringe topic, G?
Look, I started listening to Art Bell on Coast to Coast back in
Real
1996,
quick,
19.
G, for Sabrina Duncan here, tell her who Art Bell is.
Okay. So Art Bell was one of the pioneers of breaking this subject into onto radio, right? So this is mass media, and this is right around the time that the internet was coming about of age or whatnot, but the internet was not a major consumption of media, right? Voice or video at the time. So it was all radio, and Art Bell would be on at 10 p.m. Pacific, and he'd talk about these things. He'd have guys like Bob Lazar on and Richard Hoagland, Whitley Strieber. I would listen to it, and for me, it was entertaining. I mean, it was like, I'm of the Christian faith, but it's like, okay, until there's evidence, like, these are just stories, and
G,
yeah.
grow a spine and take a stand here, man.
No, I am, and I'm telling you that I'm like giving it a 10 to 20% chance that it was real back then, and this is growing a spine because at the time it was a fringe topic. So you come out and say something, you're going to be looked as like a kook, right? You remember Signs came out in 2002, 2003, Mel Gibson movie.
Mel Gibson.
And Joaquin Phoenix is wearing the tinfoil hat.
Yes.
And he's sitting there with the kids like, okay, we're really scared the aliens are coming. I'm like, I didn't get the tinfoil thing. But okay, so let's fast forward to...
Just real quick. So Annette, what she is saying is Art Bell was pretty much the dominant form of getting the latest up-to-date news outside of the monthly type magazines, because Art Bell was on every night. And to make it even more conspiracy theorist, he was only on AM radio.
and he was on at 10 p.m. Like most people were asleep, except those truckers who would actually see things, or they see
for
things.
his audience, the late night people staying up. And he had his regular list. It's a golden era that's gone because of tech, but it was magical, as silly as it sounds.
And the show's still on. Art Bell passed away about 8 years ago, but the show's still on. So let's fast forward to, okay, so back then it was considered fringe, right? Because you got this guy late night broadcasting out of Nevada. And so now fast forward to 2007, and I forget the exact question that was asked, but it was asked during the Democratic primary of Dennis Kucinich, who was a left wing and who was gaining a lot of traction in the primary, and he was asked about UFOs. And I don't remember the exact question or how he answered it, but it ended his basically run for presidency, right? And it was a harmless answer. It was a harmless question, but it just brought a lot of ridicule upon him where it ended his presidency. That was 2007, 2008. Now let's fast forward to 2015 and 16. And Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump are running. And Hillary Clinton's asked on late night TV, I think Colbert or one of Kimmel, about UFOs. And she's like, I want to get down to the bottom of it. I want to know if these things exist. And it did not end her campaign. So within 8 years, it went from a fringe topic to, hey, we can talk about it late night and someone can still run for president on it. And then you fast forward to now where you got these people coming out. We're having congressional hearings. I think there have been 3 or 4 now, congressional hearings. And you've got Republicans and Democrats, congressmen and senators going out on the record saying, we believe these things exist. And even some of them are going to be running for president in a couple of years. And they're coming out saying, we've got to do this. So if you're talking about a fringe topic, no longer, because they're staking the whole presidential campaign on it. And the one person I'm really talking about is Marco Rubio. And he's coming out saying, yeah, there's secret projects reverse engineering these things, not only in America, but Russia and China. And so for me, going from a, yeah, 10, 20%, these are great stories late at night, to
Mhm.
me going 70% now, like maybe this stuff is real. People are staking their political careers on saying that something's real and is being covered up and hidden.
Okay, so for to let the audience know, Dennis Kucinich was in a Democrat primary debate. Tim Russer, the much
Oh,
beloved Tim
he
Russer,
was
asked prefaced it with, "This is a serious question. Congressman Kucinich, Shirley MacLaine says you saw a UFO. Is it true?" Dennis Kucinich, "I did. It was an unidentified flying object, okay? I saw some." Boom. But he was a nut job already. I mean, it didn't take much, but he was already a nut job. Yeah. Are we watching the government quietly admit? I mean, taking in consideration what G just
yeah.
said, are we watching the government quietly admit it's been hiding something huge, as Trump would say, from the public for years?
Well, can I just say I love Tim Russert, and he wrote that beautiful book about his father. Okay, so now to this. This is very hard for me because until G, who is a credible person in my world, I would've you
I'm
are,
not.
but G's the first one who started talking to me about this and told me to watch Age of Disclosure. Okay, so I would have never even watched a thing like that unless my friend G recommended. I'm like, okay, I'll watch it, which I did, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm half taking these people seriously. Before I have to tell you that I had it only in one category, that these people, and I've seen people interviewed who said that they had these experiences with other people who seem to also corroborate the same story. But honestly, William, it did not matter to me. I thought they were insane. I thought, I don't know what it is they saw, but I did not, I was able to somehow give them no credibility whatsoever. And then I watched this Age of Disclosure film, and then I started diving deeper into it. A lot of these people, I mean, when you listen to them describe what they saw, there's sometimes someone with them, again, like having the exact same experience, seeing something like, again, come in the water at a certain rate of speed, coming out of the water. I mean, I found them to be completely believable. And it was the first time that I was listening to people that I actually did believe it. So is the government hiding something? I mean, I guess the question is, and I think the government hides things all the time. So it would not surprise me. And don't you sort of agree? I mean, we're on is as the American public, we're sort of on a need to know basis here. I think they decide when.
No, that's a great way to put it. Need to know
Yeah.
basis. All right. So, a former Defense Intelligence Agency scientist, James Lakatsky, he publicly describing AAWSAP, a secretive Pentagon program. Let me tell you what that. So AAWSAP means Advanced Aerospace Weapons System Application Program. So let me repeat that. Former Defense Intelligence Agency scientist James Lakatsky is publicly describing Advanced Aerospace Weapons System Application Program, a secretive Pentagon program run through Bigelow Aerospace in Las Vegas that he says became the largest government UFO UAP study ever. Gee, real quick, who is Robert Bigelow famous for
He's
in
a,
this
a billionaire, and I think he owns Skinwalker Ranch, which I don't.
Skinwalker Ranch? Used to own it, and the government and his company working together did a lot of testing on the supernatural stuff they were seeing
That's right.
there,
Yep.
and we never learned the conclusions. So, according to Lakatsky, AAWSAP compiled over 100 major reports and built the largest UFO database in existence, also investigating hotspots like Skinwalker Ranch and cases involving physical and psychological effects on witnesses. He argues these phenomena are best understood as manifestations of entities that are not human, not just misidentified aircraft or drones, and claims the U.S. is in a technological race to understand and exploit whatever this is. Now, this guy could be a nut job, but he is a former Defense Intelligence Agency scientist. So those are as logical as they come. Let's move on. Let's keep moving forward because this is what I found extremely scary and fascinating. This is like a high thriller movie.
Sci-fi.
Yes. Reports now highlight a cluster of 9 scientists and military lead experts tied to NASA, JPL. Isn't NASA and JPL the same?
It's a subsidiary.
Okay. Tied to NASA, JPL, nuclear labs, or advanced weapons work who have died or disappeared under unusual or violent circumstances since 2023. 9 individuals. Think about that list for a second. Michael David Hicks, a JPL small body scientist. Frank Mawad, JPL's biosignature hunter. Nuno Lorario, MIT's fusion energy chief. Carl Grillmeyer, a Caltech JPL astrophysicist, and Neil McCasland, a retired Air Force general, just disappeared not long ago, tied to advanced aerospace and even UFO briefings. All, Annette, all gone or caught up in the same strange cluster. Now, I have a listing of other names, but I've already named some of the big ones for you guys. So, officially, these incidents are accidents, medical issues, crime, and missing person cases, and there's no confirmed link between them. But taken together, they spark concern that people around sensitive space, missile, and advanced tech programs may face elevated risks the public isn't being fully told about. This sounds very conspiratorial. But and I guess I'm looking at it, G, a little bit how you do your 9/11 example. But my God, 9 people since 2023. If 9 NASA JPL nuclear and military linked experts have died or vanished in strange ways in just a few years, are we looking at coincidence, the dangers of high pressure national security work, or the edges of a much darker story no one in government wants to talk about? Annette. Don't be looking at Bill or your dog or anybody.
The
Stay
dog.
focused.
Sorry, the dog. I don't want him to interrupt our show.
Are we looking at just coincidence or something possibly much darker?
Okay. It was
9 in a couple years.
I know. It was more recently that because I was paying attention to the more recent the man who left, I guess, without his phone, but took his gun and
General.
The
threw it.
class
That was the more recent one that I was, like, really paying attention to because I was like, "Wow, that was weird," and I now just get ready because this is a connection to me. The woman who disappeared up in Los Angeles worked with my uncle at Rocketdyne.
Holy mackerel. Can you get
Yeah.
us in? Oh, she disappeared. You can't get us an interview.
No, no, but that and it was funny because my cousin was telling me all about how she was at the Christmas party, and that was a big thing, and they know the family, and the husband was so distraught. I don't think she had any children, but the husband was so distraught, and I always thought, "Well, I don't know what do you mean she just disappeared in thin air?" At the time, I was never thinking that I actually thought maybe it was something else until this man you're talking about, say his name again, sorry, I'm keeping forgetting.
McCasland.
The Castland, he disappeared.
She's got that memorized.
I know, and then there was a connection to her, and then I realized all these other people. Okay, so now that just catches you up how I was a little bit behind on this. All of those no, all of those situa no, it's almost like they disappeared into thin air, like without a trace. That woman who was hiking with friends was there, and then they turned and she was gone. It's that I know that story from my cousin who worked with her at Rocketdyne, you know what I'm saying? It was like she was with friends hiking. She was a avid hiker. I mean, she was in really good shape. It all of a sudden they turned, they and she wasn't there anymore. That's I don't know. So there's
And they
something
couldn't find her body or anything?
Okay, so what are you saying, Annette? You think something darker and sinister? Or, hey, bleep happens.
no, I think something's going on for sure. No,
Gotta
that
maneuver
doesn't.
here, G.
No, that. Wait. No, gee, they never even found so much as her hat. I mean,
Wow.
nothing. She disappeared. She did not every. She was gone without a trace.
But Annette, what I'm hearing is you sound like this is more dark than coincidence.
Well, do you think people just disappear in thin air like that? I mean,
I'm just the host asking the question.
Who's spineless now?
I don't know.
I'm being sarcastic. Yes, people disappear in strange circumstances.
They do. They do. I'm sorry. And I thought it was strange that McCaskill. Why do I say his name wrong every time? I can't think of it.
McCasland.
Passland. I thought it was strange that he took his gun. I wondered about that. You know what I mean? That was a
Oh no, and I'm with you. This is more to me than meets the eye.
for
Gee,
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
what say you?
Okay. So I don't know all the background and the details of the other 8,
I
right? So they didn't work on
Sure
these
you don't.
projects
Sure
all by
you don't.
themselves. They've got
well,
teams,
the
right?
pieces
So
of it.
like, so it's not like, okay, you take this one person and then you've destroyed all knowledge, and then because she was working on this project all by herself. There's like 4 or 5 other people in the know at least, right?
Well, hold on, G. Hold on. We've all gone through this. There's your brain power, your star child, the person where you may have a team, but if that person goes, your project is set back, say 80% or
Right.
year.
So it doesn't even make sense to off them, right? Like maybe you take them and put them on a secret project and sequester them, maybe?
Right
I mean,
there, or a rival nation. That was one of my thoughts.
okay, yeah. And that could be so to me, correlation's not causation, right? Like whatever's happening doesn't mean because not 9 of them are disappeared under mysterious circumstances and they worked with NASA or the Air Force or whatever. And I preface that, and this is a long preface because McCaslin's different. So a lot of UFO lore says that Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is the central hub where they bring recovered craft. Right.
Right.
So I want to go back to what I was saying earlier, where I was like 10, 20%. These are great stories to now where I'm like 70%. There must be something, right? Because it's one thing to say, I saw something in the sky and it zipped off and I don't know what it was. And we could all explain that away, right? But now, if all these people, I'm talking national security advisors, are saying we have stuff not made by human hands and they're stored in a hangar somewhere, now you can't explain that away anymore. Now you have to say, give me the evidence and the truth, right? So now you got McCasland, and this is why I put him in a different category. He was in charge of Wright-Patterson, right? For many, many years. So there's not going to be stored alien craft, or maybe it's not alien, but not made by human intelligence, which, okay, whatever you want to explain that to be. If it's stored at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, he would know. Okay, so what's more suspicious is not him disappearing, but Trump saying on February 19th, okay, here, I'm going to give some dates here. February 19th, actually a few days before, Obama goes, oh yeah, aliens exist. And then he walks it back saying, oh no, I meant like bacteria. I'm sure there's bacteria somewhere out there. Like, no, that's not what you meant when you said aliens exist. All right. So the next day, Trump says, okay, well, then maybe it's 2 days later. Okay, fine. Everyone's pushing me on this. I'm going to disclose it. We're going to get to the bottom of this. Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, get on it, right? February 19th. All of a sudden, I think it was February 27th, goes, hey, you know what? I don't need my phone anymore. I'm going for a hike with a gun. And his wife even said, this is weird. And then he disappears. Okay, this is 7 days after Trump says, okay, we're going to get to the bottom of it. We want to know all the answers, right? Now, even weirder, the next day, the Iran war started. So I can attribute McCaslin disappearing to maybe they took him and say, we need you to conduct the Iran war or conduct some kind of operation behind the scenes and no one needs to know that you're part of it. Or some Iranian jihadists took him. That's another possibility. Or maybe they're like, you know too much and you know where all the craft are and we can't let the Trump administration know. So we're going to do whatever. So there are a lot of possibilities, but that's the weirdest one to me. The other 8, I don't know for sure. What Annette was saying was weird, but so I'm in the camp of correlation is not causation. I don't think they're all related but a lot of people are saying, yeah, they are.
Well, going back to your Trump comment, Obama said, quote, "They're real, but I haven't seen them," unquote. How you get bacteria when you backtrack a couple days later does not fly. And Trump's reaction in regards to Obama gave classified information, unquote.
Right.
Is quote, "is not supposed to be doing that," unquote. Quote, "made a big mistake," unquote. You don't
Right.
talk about bacteria that way neither. His remarks as revealing information that should have remained classified, which is he shouldn't have said that in terms of what you're saying. So, gee, at the end of the day, what's your final take? Coincidence or
I think a lot of them are coincidences, and you want to build up a narrative that's something sinister is going on, and you want to make it bigger. So you say there's 9 of them, but I think something suspicious on the light end, suspicious to the heavy end, sinister from McCasland. Something happened there that
get
I
that? But here's my take. These are incredibly intelligent scientists who are specialists in various fields, all related to this area. Maybe their work wasn't on this or that, and the conspiracy theorists running, but in 2 years, all these deaths. Because remember, it's 2023, but in essence, 2026. McCaslin is just the latest one, or two have been over the past year. So in essence, we're looking at about 2 years, a few months. Are these people, these 9 intellectuals, these scientists disappearing? So me, I'm like,
will
want
give
to
you one
believe, but there's something there.
I will give you one point of that date, 2023. I believe that was the year David Grush testified in Congress and the heat was ramping up. So I will say that maybe there was an effort to go, hey, we got to start covering our tracks.
Right.
So
And well, and on top of that, it's when you said David Crusher, made me think Tim Burchett and all these others, Ruby and all that. That's why I'm like that. There's something more, and it could be anything. It could be a nation, China, kidnapping them, wanting to know Russia. It could be the Greys. You know too much. I'm being a little sarcastic there. My point is, we don't know, but something's fishy here, and we need to get down to it. So this is really here for more for G to get your comments. Nick Pope, the former UK Minister of Defense. So he was an important person in the government at one time. He is known as the real Fox Mulder. Annette, do you know who Fox Mulder is?
No, I don't.
Fill her in, G, real quick.
Who is
X
that?
Files.
David Duchovny's character. They call this guy the real Fox Mulder. He died at age 60 after a battle with cancer. 1991 to 94, he ran the Ministry of Defense's UFO desk, investigating reports from pilots and civilians. So he wasn't just investigating teenage kids high on weed or LSD, pilots, legitimate military individuals who've seen something. He later became a public face for cases like the Rendlesham Forest, which Annette is one of the biggest UFO stories that has been corroborated by multiple witnesses. It's an American Air Force base in England. He called it Britain's most compelling encounter. And then the Godfather, or as Big John used to say, the OG, which I forget what OG stands for. Original gangsters, I think.
Yeah.
Uh, Eric Von Doniken died in January. So a little bit before, but I just wanted to toss him in with the death of Nick Pope. He died at age 90. He authored the book called Chariots of the Gods. Have you heard of that book, Annette?
I've not.
So there's a lot of inconsistencies, but for the most part, people are like, you're on the right track here in terms of talking about ancient aliens being seen as gods, having visited Earth. A lot of data in there. But he kind of got this modern version. There are books out and other strong leaders, but he kind of took it to another level with Chariots of the Gods. It sold millions. We're talking in the 60s, early 70s, millions upon millions of copies, and it popularized the idea that ancient monuments and myths might be evidence of past extraterrestrial contact. He was also involved in that show Ancient Aliens that people mock, but I give them their due for trailblazing the way. So it's kind of like vaudeville, trailblaze TV and movies, but people laugh at vaudeville.
So he was like connecting the dots, though. I mean, he was
Yes,
being
great way. Yes. connecting the dots. No, so his specific claims were often criticized by archaeologists, but he changed the culture by making it normal to ask whether ancient history and extraterrestrial questions overlap. So, I mean, you can chime in too on that, but G knows these individuals intricately. Your thoughts on the death of Nick Pope and the passing of Eric Von Donigan? Are we seeing a transition to the Stephen Greers, the Grushes of the world, Tim Burchett, you know, the project to a different, to Jeremy Corbell, and George Knapp is one of the few who managed to go from the pre-internet into the make it successful in the post-internet. Are we seeing a transition?
Yeah, absolutely. So I read Chariot of the Gods in the late 90s, I think, 1997, after hearing about an art bell. And I'm reading it going, okay, everything's aliens. I just kind of like, again, it was amusing. And then, Ancient Aliens, I think Eric Von Doniken, that was inspired by his book or whatnot. And
And he
Giorgio,
grew up with it too. George
he what?
Sokolo.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, and then they founded that whole thing, and it was based on a lot of the same concepts, right? And I always poo-pooed it. Like, okay, why are guys, alien grays, whatever, come 50 million light years in advanced spacecraft and then build a little pyramid out of stone? Right? Like, you just think of it logically and go, that why are they going to do that? There's no point in doing that, right? They would build something out of like titanium and something amazing and with internet and all that stuff. I mean, it was easy for me to dismiss it. I would say after watching Age of Disclosure, I would come to the idea that, okay, well, if there are recovered craft and there are congressmen and senators saying we do have it, and by the way, the Chinese and Russians have it too, if not other countries, then okay, if they've been visiting us, then haven't they been visiting us for a long, long time? I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibility. And
Shit,
then you could say,
aliens.
well, no, they wouldn't spend their time building things out of stones, but maybe they would say, hey, by the way, maybe you should tilt it this way so it's oriented north or whatever, right? It's not beyond the realm of possibility
Okay,
anymore.
okay, okay, okay. With that though,
Yeah,
that's how a lot of these people are portrayed as having to come Quetzalcoatl, you
right.
know,
As teachers.
others, yes, as teachers to help them along the ways, you
Yeah.
know. And there's and let's not forget, and let's make Sabrina Duncan here think. Uh, all those Bible portraits. What do we see in them?
Yeah.
Figure of
Paintings. Yeah.
UFO in little paintings, all of them literally
Now,
that. So
you
so
know
it's
that
not about making claims in that. It's
you
about we gotta keep an open mind is all I'm saying.
you know
Yeah.
your friends, Tucker, and some of the people that he interviews say that they're demonic in some way.
Right, right. That's other theories. Yes, yes.
And
True.
that which made me wonder, like, in the in the paintings that I saw and I think that I looked at, it didn't give me necessarily that wasn't really the feeling. It felt like it was more just a part of everything. It didn't have this, like, ominous feel to it the way that it was portrayed in the paintings. But I do think it's interesting that there is a group of people, some priests included, who really believe this is some demonic activity, this whole alien thing, this whole idea of aliens. It's not of God. It's not God. It's some sort of like level of demon, which I think is interesting. I don't know if it's true, but I do think it's interesting.
I think JD
Well,
Vance recently came out and said something similar, like it's his
oh yeah,
viewpoint
he
that
did.
they're demonic. But let me just finish my thought. So I think
No,
Eric von Doniken, like I respect him going out on a limb and writing this book, and his goal was to write the book and sell it, right, and promote this
but
idea or
he
whatever.
also said he wanted people to think.
Yes, and open the mind. So I respect that because I'm open to the idea that, we're not the only ones in the universe, and maybe people came here and said, "Hey, don't make your pyramid face this way, point it this way, then you'll be true north," right? I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibility. I need evidence. I'm a scientist type of guy. So now let's move back to Nick Pope. So Nick Pope was part of the Ministry of Defense in the UK. Like you said, he was talking about Rendlesham for a long time, but he also saw the Calvin photos, which is like a big uh, flying saucer that two guys said that they took pictures of and turned them into the UK government. And I think they took a series of 8 to 10 photos. And Nick Pope said that they confiscated them and never gave them back. And he saw all of them. So then he became a big time believer, kind of like, 20 years ahead of me. He went from a skeptic to, hey, I saw pictures. These things are real. And I'm going to go and promote this and try to convince the world. So it's a big loss. He was only 60 years old. He got cancer. I mean, that's only 8 years older than me. So it's a tragedy because I think he was really trying to move humankind forward by saying, look, there's something more than our petty problems here on Earth. There's something bigger, and he can't put his finger on exactly what it is, but he knows that these things are real.
I agree. In regards to Von Daniken, so here's what I'll say is I'm with you, G. Some of the claims he made, I'm like, okay, I get it. They sound a bit preposterous. But when you think about it and you look at the Nazca lines, he claimed that they could be landing landing for UFOs. So whether you buy that or not, to me, is beside the point. My question is, this was done 2,000 years ago when there was no flight. How the hell were you drawing all these magical creatures and birds and stuff without any guidance from the ground? You
Yeah.
couldn't. And we only discovered these in the 30s or 40s, maybe 20s, 30s, right around there, because there were
Yeah.
planes starting to fly ahead. So those are the questions. In terms of the Calvin UFO photo, let me show this here real quick to you guys. Here's what G's talking about. I said that we weren't really gonna have many pictures, but G did bring this one up. That's a photo. They just
Yep.
resurfaced those photos and they were confiscated. So that's pretty interesting stuff and things that make you go, hmm. So 1 second here, people. So Annette, you had a question for G?
Yeah, when was that taken?
Yeah, it was 1990. I think it was, what'd you say, August 4th?
Yes,
Something like that.
August 4th, 1990.
And
Yeah.
There's
and
two
where was
hikers
that
in
taken?
Calvine, Scotland. Calvine, Scotland.
That's in
They
Scotland?
looked in the sky, saw a large diamond-shaped flying object, and they quickly snapped 6 photos. But the
I
photos were
mean,
never.
that could be a flying saucer, but it looks diamond because it's because of the profile. They couldn't tell, but they snapped several pictures. So the story behind this is that they handed them over to the UK government, but I think they kept one and handed it to a reporter who somehow put it in his book and forgot that it was there for something like 25, 30 years. And then he realized he had one of the pictures, and so he released it. So this is the picture. And then Nick Pope, who was in the UK government, said, how'd you get that picture? We have all the pictures and we never released it. And so, yeah, Nick Pope verified that this is actual picture that they confiscated from these two people.
Right, and let me show you the 3D mock-up. With AI and modern technology, there's an image of what they say it probably looked like. Oh,
And
go.
by the way, the little one is
A plane?
Air Force jet. Uh,
Underneath it.
yeah, UK Air Force jet that they claimed was circling around it, trying to, figure out what it was. Maybe
And where did it go? I mean, did it just where did
I,
they
I
say
don't remember the rest of the story. I just remember the story about the photo. But
I have to look that up.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm trying to show the updated picture, but like I said, Restream has changed how they do some things here, and the screen share. Here we go, Calvin share. Here we go. This is a mock-up of how they say it would look if it was clear, what it may have looked like before the official photo was released. So that's pretty interesting, isn't it?
yeah.
You know, very interesting to be quite honest. So, all right. All right. So,
Wow.
so again, rest in peace, Eric Von Daniken. I think he opened up a lot of minds. And the thing about him and Nick Pope, they now know all the answers, don't they? So this has gone mainstream. You guys say you know who Casey Musgraves is? You know who she is, Annette?
Yes, she
Who
sang
is
that
she? Tell
song,
us.
Rainbow. She's a country singer.
Okay, so she says 3 bright orbs followed her private flight from Little Rock to Nashville for about 45 minutes, changing color, size, and forming geometric patterns. It's pretty crappy, but I think it was at night. You know, boy, it would have been great during the day because I saw some of the orbs. Did you see those orbs, G?
I did not. I didn't see the video.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed. But thoughts on that? on mainstream? I mean, you lit up when you're like, "Oh, I know who she is."
Yeah, I think she's a great singer, but I mean, was she on something? I don't know. I'm a
The
lot less
skeptic comes out.
lot less if I do think people are paying a lot of attention now and really curious about this, and then sometimes they can see things that they think are something that they're actually not. I mean, I just and by the way, as interesting as it is, as interesting as it is, what's the point? Because I can tell you, William, the point to believing in something unseen because I believe in God. And maybe this is real, but tell me how it's helping us, how we're helping it. Doesn't seem like it's dangerous at all because we already wouldn't be here if they could do something to take us all out.
No, I get you. What I will say is more humans have died in the name of God than in any other name. So what good is God? I'm being a bit sarcastic here. What I'm just doing is playing devil's advocate. You can easily turn around and say that about God.
No,
Yeah.
I'm saying
I'm not agreeing. I'm not agreeing. I'm just saying that's what the devil's advocate.
no, you could, but I'm saying like this, what does it do for I'm saying people believe in God because it does something for them, right? They believe there's a heaven after you die. What is it for the
Oh,
alien?
hold on. Hold
How
on.
yes.
Gee, what's it do? I
Yeah,
mean, you're a fan of this. You're
that
fascinated. So what's it
yes.
do for you?
Okay, so I'm a Christian too, so I'm I mean, I don't know. I base my beliefs on evidence, right? So the reason why I'm at 70%, not 100, is because I'm relying on reliable people who have a lot to lose by coming
Yes.
forward and saying something, right? I don't have any evidence, but if I were to go down that rabbit hole, I could say a couple things. So I could believe so in Age of Disclosure, Annette watched this. William, you watched it too, right? Dan
No, not
Farag.
yet. I'm a cheap bastard. I'm like, come down in price, man.
Okay, I'll hook you up. I'll hook you up.
I'm also gonna watch this real quick for the audience. The Bob Lazar as for I've seen him before, but I want to see his special that just came out too.
Yeah. So there's a couple ways I could view this, right? And I have the Christian worldview and Age of Disclosure that's kind of poo-pooed. It's like the Collins elite, and they're saying it's demons and they're hiding stuff. I could say one, that God made many earths, right? Many stars and many races, and the Bible was meant for our race. And whatever happened is true, and Jesus is real, and to us he was a human, right? And this is the way to do it. That's one way to think about it. The other way to think about it is these aliens are the angels, the seraphim, the cherubim, they're uh, the demons or whatever of the Bible, and they're just manifesting themselves. And maybe the whole time they always say that they came in chariots, right? Where do angels come from? They would come from the sky, or they'd blink into existence. Or it says when Jesus went to heaven in Acts 1, he went up, right? Like, where's up? Well, I mean, that's in space, right?
And
So
some of the drawings have Jesus like going up in the spaceship. The
What?
paintings.
yeah, yeah, but
No.
that's like
Yeah.
1,500 years later, and people just making stuff. So, anyways, I could just view it from many different angles, right? And it's fun to like think of it, and again, it's stories to go, okay, well, here's how aliens fit into that worldview. It doesn't shake my worldview, and I think for most people out there who believe in God and Jesus, it won't shake their view. They'll come to the same conclusions that we're coming to, right? And Anna Luna
Melina.
Paulina,
Yeah.
yeah, or is it Luna or Paulina Luna? I think it's Paulina Luna. So she has a world. She's
Congresswoman. That's how you got to remember.
okay. So she's a congresswoman, and she's very intelligent, and she's like, these are interdimensional beings, like they
Yes.
come
Yes.
from a different dimension, and she thinks they're spiritual beings. And it's like, okay, great, until we have evidence. Everyone's just kind of guessing. Tucker guesses
Yep.
his thing, JD Vance is guessing his thing, Trump says, I'm not sure what I believe, but I'm going to put the directive and bomb the Iranians. Like, everyone's at a different point, right? Until we have evidence, like, give us evidence, then we can put our finger on what we can believe.
Right. So Annette, they
Yes.
give hope to a lot of people. In the '70s, something odd happened and New Age started mixing in with all of this stuff. And it gives people hope. They look at humanity, all the atrocities we've done to each other. The stories are that they come in peace. They don't want us. They've shut down nuclear facilities. So that's kind of a running theme. Uh, so a lot of people they give hope that they're good. They can come down and they can help steer us into the proper path we should be on. They don't sit there and say they're gods or this or that, but they do say they're spiritual. My take is simple. If God has how do you say the word omnipotent? Uh, uh,
Omnipotent, yeah. All
Omnipotent.
powerful.
God is omnipotent, then they have religion and they believe in a God too. Is has been always been my take. If they're real, I'm like they probably worship a God too, because I think for good people deep at our core, whether you're Methodist, Protestant, Jewish, Catholic, or whatever, if we're good people, we want to treat each other well, we want to live a certain way. I truly believe in my heart, God's going to love us all. So I never bought into the various religions because all those religions ever do is produce war. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel about it. Having been brought up Catholic, the Catholic Church is one of the biggest proliferators. Is that the right word? Of war. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's one way to look at it, and that's kind of how I would choose to look at it because I've been reading about this since I was a kid. I'm like, gee, I'm a believer, but you got to give me the proof for me to cross that Rubicon. But the age of disclosure with all these big wigs coming in and people in actual positions of power, Tim Burchett, there's something out there. So let's keep moving. Donald Trump has publicly moved to direct agencies to release UFO UAP records, framing it as finally letting Americans see what insiders have long hinted at and acknowledging that encounters and near collisions are more common than the public was told. Real quick, before I go to the discussion question, there have been stories saying certain presidents have been brought into the know more than other presidents, etc. I think let's take a leap of faith. Let's say there's something there based on all the evidence we're hearing. I think Donald Trump was brought into the loop because of the creation of Space Force. You know, that kind of came out of nowhere. Yeah, Space Force. And so that to me was a red flag. Is something coming? Because out of the blue, we get Space Force. So I think if any president was brought into the loop, was him, especially with the comments he said. Obama shouldn't have said that. That's classified. That's this, that's that. It would seem to be that he's been brought into the loop. But the question here is, and I want to start to close this out because we got 4 quick topics, but G's been taking up about 90% of the answer time. So if Congress is passing UAP transparency laws, ARO is issuing official reports, and President Trump is ordering agencies to release UFO records. Is this real accountability we're starting to see? And G's favorite word, disclosure? Just a controlled leak designed to protect the same people who ran these programs in the dark for decades. In essence, is this just misinformation or the beginning of the real deal? Annette, then G.
Me first. I'm skeptical. I mean, I guess I just would wonder. I would say to you, why now?
Why now? I think the easy answer to that is because where we are at, technologically speaking, that would be the easy answer to that, in my opinion. But like you said, we don't know. G. I'm sorry, did you want to respond to what I just said?
No.
No, I would
Sabrina
say
has spoken. G.
no. William's answer is right. Why now is AI is going to allow us to now it's not 8 billion brains, right? It's like AI can do the work of 10 brains, 100 brains. So now you have 80 to 800 billion brains calculating information that our technological advance will like ramp up parabolically. So I think that's why now is that you can't put a lid on something like this. But I will go back to what William said earlier about the presidents, right? There seems to be like this, you can let the Republican presidents know about this, but not the Democrat presidents, which is kind of a weird thing. So I don't know about Kennedy and Johnson, but I know Jimmy Carter came out and said, I tried digging into this. No one would let me know what's going on. Said,
Said he said he saw you,
yes,
Jimmy Carter.
exactly.
He
And
did?
then Clinton, yes.
Mm.
Yeah, even before his election campaign, he saw a UFO, and he to his dying day, people would ask him about it. He's like, "Yeah, I can't explain it, but it was clear as day." Reagan said he saw a UFO. Okay, so now let's fast forward to Clinton.
This should be a president? Sorry.
Yeah, I think he said before he was president, I think he was governor of California. He said he saw something he couldn't explain. But let's go to Clinton. So Clinton and Hillary, I think they had a very strong, with John Podesta, a strong coordinated effort to get to the bottom of everything. And they were blocked at every turn. So if you want to watch a great YouTube series on it, it's by Jason Somoza on YouTube. And he outlines in a very logical and factual basis the Clintons' efforts to do disclosure, right? Get to the bottom of Roswell and try to find out what happened there. And they were blocked at every turn. So
By
they were
who?
obviously not in the know.
Who were they blocked by?
But by whoever, I don't know. I mean, it was all the people in the know, and they're not elected officials, right? So, uh,
Bureaucrats, the swamp,
yeah, the
the
swamp.
people who are actually receiving the dark money that we never
Yeah,
hear about for the projects.
$6,000 toilet seats. I
All
mean, it
right.
was only $6.
Well, tell the audience and me what the name of that documentary is on YouTube.
Is made by Jason Samosa, Samosa, and he did a lot of research into it. So if you just Google
Okay.
him, you
I
find
will.
his channel. And then I think you have to go back a year, and he has a 3 or 4
I'll
part
find it.
series. The Clintons, so when you had the WikiLeaks back 10 years ago and Snowden pulled all the emails in there, John Podesta was talking about if when Hillary wins, she's going to be the disclosure president. She's going to blow the lid wide open on all the UFOs going on and all that stuff, right? So those were private emails that were leaked, and somehow it escaped the media's attention. They're like, oh, this is conspiratorial stuff. But it's like, wait, these are top level government people talking about it. This is not fake emails. These are real emails. So let's rewind back to the Republican presidents. I think Nixon knew. I think Reagan knew. They were briefed. I
Oh,
think George
oh, oh.
H.
Tell them about Nixon's Jackie Gleason
Yeah, so
story.
there was at one point, and I don't put a lot of stock in the story, but the story is Jackie Gleason's like, "Man, I wish I could see a UFO," and Nixon's like, "Hey, I'll go take you to see one." And it was like open in terms of Nixon's mindset. So Nixon had him go see one, and then after that, Jackie Gleason built a house in the shape of a UFO, a flying saucer.
Seriously?
So yeah,
Okay, okay, yeah, but gee, you're leaving out Jackie Gleason didn't tell anybody but his wife about it. And after
yeah,
they were going through a nasty divorce, she spilled the beans.
yeah.
So it wasn't like
Oh,
Jackie Gleason was bragging this up or
he
anything.
wasn't.
This came out of nowhere.
I don't put a lot of stock in that story, but it could be true.
Right.
That is an interesting one. But Nixon did sign an agreement with the USSR saying like, look, if there's a craft above your nuclear installation, call us first because it's not us, and we will do the same. Now, why would they say that? Like at the time, you don't have craft that could hover. I mean, helicopters, like
Yeah.
a helicopter can't fly across the world and then hover. So Nixon actually signed this with, I think, China as well. I think he actually said, look, we need to make sure that we're on the same page, and they put the red telephone there. If I remember my stories correctly, Reagan also talked a lot about alien threats, and there's a story about him turning to
Star
Gorbachev and
Wars.
said, like, look, if we're ever invaded, Earth's invaded, we're going to be on the same team, right? And Gorbachev said, yeah. It wasn't Reagan who told that story. It was Gorbachev years later said, yeah, Reagan said, let's make sure
It was
we're
a
on the same
UN
page here.
speech. It was a UN speech, and Reagan sat there and said, "The one thing that would unite us is an alien invasion."
Yeah.
Yeah. All right,
That
gee, I
was a,
don't mean
that
to
was a
cut you
sep-
off, but
yeah,
keep
that
going.
was a
I mean,
separate
wrap it up.
incident, but
Yeah.
there was another incident. And then, so the one thing I will say, and this is what I was leading to, George H.W. Bush was director of CIA. I think he probably knew
Oh,
something.
that's right.
And there's, in the age of disclosure, it was told that he knew of contact with aliens, right? Who knows? Is that true? Possibly. But it was George W. Bush in 2004. I think they had a serious roundtable saying we need to come forward and say we're not alone in the universe. And they decided not to because it was the Iraq war and all the Democrats coming down on them. And so they're just like, okay, this is not the thing to do right now. And I think there was also the fear of what would happen to religion. And so I think now this is like 20 some odd years later. I think they're not afraid of that anymore. I think they're looking at this going, I think the world's ready for this. I mean, we have the internet, things are coming out, whistleblowers, videos. I mean, we've
Right.
seen the videos of what the Navy and the Air Force have taken. It's like you can't hold this anymore. And I think it's just reaching a point where it's like most people believe there's life outside of Earth. It's just a question of have they visited here and are they visiting here? That's the question that splits some people. And I think who's going to be the first to say yes? And I think that's what it's going to come down to. I think Trump's going to be
Right.
like, these aliens, these are the only illegal aliens we'll accept in America.
And what
They're the greatest aliens. So on Clinton, he sent Sandy Berger, or Berger. He was the National Security Advisor to Groom Lake Area 51, Clinton's direction. And this comes from Clinton himself. What we don't know is if he was rebuffed or if he was allowed entry to there. That's never come out. But he did send him, and gee, you're right, Podesta, not to doubt you, but just to validate, he did. Podesta and Clinton did try to get to the bottom of that. And I think that was really Podesta's shtick. Podesta is one who has really been in there. I don't know. Do you agree with Ralph Crandon, Annette? Do you think he was told by Nixon? Ralph Crandon, aka Jackie Gleason, the honeymooners? I don't know. So Annette, one final question before we close this out. And this is specifically for you. If
Okay.
it turns out some of these non-human entities are real, does that blow up religion like some in government supposedly fear? Or does it just force churches, including the Catholic Church, that already talks about a limitless creator and even, quote, brother aliens, unquote, to update how they explain God's creation to people in the pews?
I 1000%. I mean, the idea of aliens just makes me think that, I mean, I don't know the mind of God, right? I'm just a created being myself, and God, in his infinite wisdom, can create as much and as varied as much as he wants. You know what I mean? So I would just believe it was more created beings by God. It would not do anything to disrupt my faith whatsoever. I would
All right,
believe
fair enough.
that those beings were created by God, and that's how I would come to be comfortable with that.
I think today's American Christian is like you. I think the fundamentalists would have a cow. I think Islam would bleep their pants. Yeah. I think the Buddhists would go, hey, welcome, where you been at? So I think each one, but I think Islam would probably be the hardest hit right now with their belief system. So, but I think Americans have kind of lost their way with God. So I think it would be easier to believe. But I do believe fundamentalists could have a hard time with that based off the strict teachings of how they interpret the Bible. But who knows? So, but right now you have a congressman leaking from classified briefings, DIA scientists talking about non-human entities, an official fight over secret UFO videos, mysterious deaths, despite what she says, and a winner posting orb footage between tour dates, trying to jack up sales or the real deal. We'll never know. And the pioneers who kept this alive, Nick Pope at the Ministry of Defense, Eric Von Doniken in the bookstores, are leaving the stage just as the same governments and media that mocked them are quietly confirming the basic outline of what they were talking about. On good news, as said, and I truly believe this, those two now know all the answers, as we all will. But as my dad says, when that time comes, will we care about that? Who knows? We'll see. But if the government has been running classified databases, crash retrieval programs, and tech studies in the dark, then the UFO story isn't just about aliens, people. It's about who hoarded the knowledge, who lied about it, and who gets held accountable when the truth comes out. Whether you think these are extraterrestrials, black projects, or something stranger, the days of treating UFOs as a punchline are over because the people with clearances, cameras, and cockpit windows are finally saying out loud that they've seen something we can't explain. And those people have the video now to back it up. Any final thoughts before we close the show out? Annette,
Yes.
I want to hear it now. Will you pray? Will you worship the gray aliens God?
I'm not.
How about the reptilians?
No, you have to kill me first, William.
Well, they won't kill you, but they may turn you into a hybrid, or you'll have child number 6, hybrid, and you'll be telling Bill it's the immaculate or whatever. All right, guys, a
We should have
this
an
show
episode just based on the effects on religion and just focus on that part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a
seriously.
lot of I do wanna do more of these type of shows, and that you're more than welcome, but we don't want you to feel lost. But I do wanna talk about the movie Disclosure. I wanna talk about, Bob Lazar
I'll
and
watch
his
that movie.
crazy
Yeah.
predictions. I mean, Bob Lazar said the periodic table was number 115, and people go, "Well, that doesn't even exist." 20 years later, it exists, as Bob Lazar said it
Wow.
was. So, all kinds of crazy stuff. To everybody, we hope you enjoy the show. We just want you to open your mind to think maybe God was made in the grays. I'm kidding. Because there's so much out there, and we hope you keep an open mind to the unknown and have a spine and stand up for what you believe. And I joked to G a lot about the spine the last 2 episodes, but I see him coming around, don't you, Annette?
I do.
So, to everybody, make sure you follow us on YouTube and Rumble under the profile Grumblings Media. And I am William del Pilar for the G-Man and the beautiful Miss Sabrina Duncan, aka the Annette Ross. This is the Red, White, and Rude. Keep fighting, stay safe, and we will talk next week. Hey, everybody, this is William Del Pilar, founder of Grumblings Media, and I want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our all volunteer efforts at Grumblings Media, smash the subscribe button right here. 100% free, and please consume and share our great content. Click either one of these 2 boxes for more of our work.